ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're doing episode 2 of our 6-part Nvidia and Gigabyte series, just covering different games and basically showing you what sort of performance you can get out of 3 different Nvidia graphics cards, the GTX1080, which is in my rig right now, the 1070, and also the 1060. So these are all the same model, the G1 Gaming from Gigabyte, and this series in general is just for me to show you guys the games, the performance you can expect, and to make it easier if you're deciding which graphics card to buy, what sort of level of performance you really need, like what graphics card would suit your needs the best. So let's talk about today's game, and it's going to be Overwatch. So this did come out quite some time ago, and this isn't a particularly difficult game to run, but I thought it would be good because I really enjoyed it. It's a really fun game to play. I enjoy playing probably the tanks the most. That's probably what I play a lot. Reinhardt, Roadhog, very fun to play. I really enjoy that. And in general, it's just a quite an easier game to run for most graphics cards, which you'll see very soon. And with that being said, different people will still have different needs. I'm going to be covering that for people that have high refresh rate monitors also. So let's get into the settings then. What are we using? So I tried this game out a lot at all the different settings, and honestly I think Ultra is a really good fit. You can set it to Epic, which is the highest preset, but honestly I don't really notice much difference, and it does give you quite a big performance hit. So I really think that most of you guys out there should really just run this game on the Ultra preset. Now, of course, I'll be doing this at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. I set the frame rate limit to 300 FPS, which is the highest. VSync and triple buffering are all off. And for my testing, I copied Steve from Hardware Unbox method, where you create a custom game, load it up with 12 AIs. They were Zaryas on easy, and then you just spectate, and then you just get your average frame rate from there. So we'll start first with the GTX 1080. So at 1080p it gets 151 FPS, at 1440p that goes down to 135, and at 4K you get 180 FPS. So one thing I noticed with all these cards is that they're quite close together in terms of you're not seeing huge jumps between the different resolutions, which is something good to see. Now, that's going to be perfect. If you're a 1080p high refresh rate, 151's more than enough for your 120 or 144 Hz monitor. The same again at 1440p, 135 should be more than enough. Yeah, you may want to drop off a filter a tiny bit if you really want to keep it over 144 the whole time, but honestly I think it was fine as is, and 108 at 4K is just fine because the vast majority of people will be just running 60 Hz 4K displays, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing you really need to change with the 1080. It's quite a light game, as I said, so that's a very powerful graphics card for this game. Let's move over to the 1070 then, and it gets a little bit more interesting here. So you see it drops down at 1080p to 129 FPS. At 1440p that goes down again to 103, and at 4K it's at 88. So 109 FPS at 1080p, that's just fine. That's heaps for most people. If you're on a 60 Hz 1080p display, then this thing is mega overkill for that. High refresh rate 1080p, that'll still be fine. Again, maybe drop off one of the filters if you want to bring that frame rate up just a little bit more. At 1440p though, you will need, if you're running a 1440p high refresh rate monitor, which is very popular nowadays, well, gaining more popularity at least, you will want to probably change that preset down, move it off Ultra. You want to bring that back to like a very high or lower. You just want to maybe move that preset down a little bit, because at the current 103, that may not harness as much as you might want out of your high refresh rate monitor. And at 4K, 88, still very solid. That'll be just fine for all of you guys out there. So that basically sums up the 1070. Very good again. You can pretty much run most of them on the Ultra preset, and it'll motor through just fine. Now, of course, we get to the GTX 1060, and this one is the most interesting and the one you will have to play around with the most. So at 1080p on Ultra, it gets 114 FPS, At 1440p, that drops down to 91, and at 4K, it goes to 73. So that means, again, if you're running a 60Hz monitor, 1080p, 1440p, or 4K, just by a bit, you'll be able to get by with the GTX 1060. It shows this card is extremely good value for money. It puts up very good performance for how much it costs. On that same note, if you are running a 1080p or 1440p high refresh rate monitor, you will want to turn that preset down, because yeah, you're not really going to be harnessing it very well, especially at 1440p. You'll want to bring it down, maybe drop the filters off entirely to take advantage of your high refresh rate monitor. Now, I did try all of these graphics cards, and the 1060 more specifically, with the GeForce Experience settings, and it just took it the other way. The optimal settings had a heap on the filters, and it just, I don't think it added anything, personally, after playing with it. And yeah, it just tanks the performance even more. So honestly, I would say you are better off just using the Ultra preset, and I think that is the best mix of performance and quality from what I've seen. And I played quite a bit of Overwatch, so I think I have a pretty good idea of what looks good and what doesn't. So yeah, that basically sums up this video. All three cards do very, very well in Overwatch. This is something we knew that would happen. But it's still good to show you guys that even if you have a 4K 60Hz monitor, the 1060 will get you by. So you will be able to do that. And if you're someone who's mainly going to just be playing Overwatch, it should still get you by. But as always, if you're going to be playing other games at 4K or 1440p high refresh rate, then you will want to trend more towards the GTX 1070 and of course the GTX 1080. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, do you play Overwatch, and what's your favorite hero in Overwatch? I'd really like to know. And the next game we're going to be covering is completely the opposite to Overwatch. It's going to be Ghost Recon Wildlands, and that is, oh boy, that thing is a beast to run. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to be playing around a lot with the settings. I'll do a lot of testing in it to help you guys get that game dialed in really, really nice. I thank you all for watching this video, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.